The final task that we want to complete is we want to create a function that will calculate the quote amount. This is a very, very simple calculation just to emulate a quote. It wouldn't be an accurate quote, but it will give us an idea of using a function. So in this case, we're going to create a function called calculate insurance amount, which takes in no values, and it's going to then do 1 divided by the age of the vehicle, and then it's going to multiply that by the engine cc, and that will give us our quote amount. So we're creating a variable quote amount, and it's going to be let as opposed to var, and we talked about its scope previously. And then what we do is we find the element which has an ID of quote amount. We set its inner HTML to be the value of the quote amount, and here's our backtick once again. And I've given a couple of examples. So if we do a 5-year-old vehicle, it will be 1 divided by 5 multiplied by 1600, which would be 320, etc. So we will add one more function to our code. So this will be outside of the add values to array function. So we have a calculate insurance quote amount, and then we can call that from within our code. But if we call it from within our code, it doesn't have a ID of quote amount. So we will need to include that in our code. In this case, I've called it a H1, or put it in as the H1, and it goes just above the submit details button. So going back into the HTML code, and just above the submit button, we paste it in an ID quote amount, and it's a H1. So H1, name equals quote amount, ID equals quote amount, and we have nothing in between, but that's what the .inner HTML will then set for us. And once we have done that, the next thing we will need to do is call the method. And we call the method from within the add values to array. So that's the final part. Go back into the code, and just at the very end of the add values to array, we call the final method, and that should give me back a value 1 divided by the age of the vehicle multiplied by the engine cc, and that will display that at that location. So if we run our code again and we enter in the details, we should get 320 if we enter in 5 for the age of the vehicle. So go back into our browser and do a refresh. Enter in the details as before, keeping the age to be 5. The date really doesn't matter. The engine CC doesn't matter. The manufacturer's standard specification is irrelevant as well, because it's only an example, and the checkboxes don't matter, and the message doesn't matter. We could build a formula that would work out all of these things. And then we click on validate the form data. We get our pop-up as before, our alert, and we get your quote amount is 320. And obviously we could try that for the other values that we had as well. If we put in a 2 and we validate, we get 800, which is what we said in our code. So, whoa, what have we done? We have some understanding of JavaScript. You have used the knowledge of JavaScript to read and manipulate details on a HTML form or page, and to create a quote amount based on a simple formula. That is unbelievable in such a short period of time. Obviously there's more to JavaScript, but that is a great starting point. So well done.